This is just a quick video on this Type 561 oscilloscope here by my favorite scope company, Tektronix. It's a nice oscilloscope. It takes plugins here, plug-in modules, very large plug-in modules, which is nice. Gotta love chunky plug-in modules. Very long. Lots of tubes. It's kind of a tube transistor mix. Very nice latching system, similar to the later Tektronix stuff that uses plugins as well. I restored this one a couple weeks ago. I thought I'd do a video on the insides of what I did to help the next guy out. So this one had an issue that there was a ticking noise when you turned it on, and I traced it to the elevated winding, filament winding for the CRT. Was arcing inside the main transformer. So I installed a small filament transformer just for the CRT. I double checked and made sure that it is high pot tested to 2.5 kV. The CRT forward voltage is 3 kV, but you're not really going to find a transformer rated for that unless you go custom. So I changed some of the capacitors, the film caps here, put new ones in, new axial electrolytics over here as well. I checked all the tubes, everything checked out okay. High voltage under here. So changing that putting in this transformer, and just terminated the old winding here. So now there's no more ticking noise. That's good. I also changed the electrolytic capacitors. So the original ones are these metal cans right here. This one's disconnected. I actually have these circuit boards I designed that are for sale up on the tube store. That they take discrete capacitors, so you can just populate as many as you want. And I just 3D printed a cover using transparent PLA, and you just slip that on top. That way it looks neat and tidy. Nobody can touch the top of the capacitors. So that's what the bottom of the board looks like. So it's just a bunch of pads, and you solder the cables to the pads. If you have resistors for dropping voltage and stuff in the power supply filter network, you can add those on the bottom of the boards as well. The center pad is ground. There's the common for it. Then there's a jumper you can install right here. You can see it's not installed there. That's for tying it to the chassis. So there's actually a plated through hole. The mounting hole is plated, and it's electrically connected to this pad here, and you can just jump it so you can ground the capacitor common. Take a look on the other side here. Same thing. These have can covers. That way you can't go around touching a can. Check these tubes as well. Nice big chunky Coke bottle tube there. There's the side of the plug-in. Change the capacitors in this one as well. A couple resistors are drifted. I changed those. I had to 3D print a handle. The original one was gone. This one's not bad. It's obviously not plushy and soft as I would like it, like an original leather handle, but for picking it up, moving it around, works a treat. I have it on a cart, so not a huge issue. The CRT clamp, the original one, over here. It focus. It was cracking here, and I've seen them break clean off. So I actually modeled and 3D printed a new clamp here. I actually ended up using the original rubber because it's not disintegrated. So usually I put a foam pad, a sticky foam pad on, so that it just doesn't bite into the socket there, and then it allows you to do the adjustment as well. So no problem there. So yeah, not much else to the scope. It's a fairly straightforward scope. The mainframe, they call it an indicator unit. All it is a power supply. There's not even vertical or horizontal deflection amplifiers in it. It's just a power supply and interface to the CRT. So the CRT, you can see, comes directly from the deflection plates, comes down straight to the socket. So the deflection amplifier is built in to each plug-in. Because of that, you have to calibrate the plug-in every time you move it from one mainframe to another, because although Tektronix CRTs were really good, and they're the best at the time pretty much, there's still differences. So that's why they included these adjustments, like this one here, gain cal, and you have a calibration here, front panel adjustment with a screwdriver. So you can adjust it every time you switch it. Ideally, you should check it every time you put the plug-in in, even if it's been in there before, just to double check the calibration. They have a built-in calibrator, which is very handy. Goes all the way actually to 100 volts peak, which is kind of fun. Yeah, get your scale illumination, focus, and intensity. Astigmatism is just screw adjustments. And yeah, hopefully I'll get some more plugins for it. Kind of hard to find around here. In Toronto, there's not exactly a surplus of vintage tech and ham gear. I'm not a ham myself, but yeah, trying to find stuff like this is kind of hard. More an abundance of it in the States, I want to say. But or if you live more up north and you go to ham swaps and stuff. But I do with what I can. eBay maybe comes up a deal, but most of the time it's a rip and shipping's too much, so can't really get too many plugins and stuff. Especially you cannot mainframes. Have fun shipping that. Card has a drawer, and keep all the probe tips and stuff in there, and some miscellaneous adapters, UHF to BNC. I actually changed the BNCs. I changed it to BNC. I parted out a 7000 series plugin that was missing all of the op-amp, the actual amplifier chips. It's kind of a bust. Yeah, whoever sold the plugins failed to mention that there was no amplifier chips in them. So turns out that the backs of these are the same size as the UHF connectors, so they're just a bolt-in replacement. They even have the punch in the metal to actually just slide right in. So hopefully found that interesting. Lots of rambling, that's for sure. But you know, no script, no nothing. Take it from the great Dave Jones. He's definitely an inspiration for getting into electronics, and especially some of the vintage gear. But, you know, he likes to ramble, and people watch him. Cheers.